Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jake Stu.
And today we're talking about Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Very nice, very nice. Directed by Michael Bay. Released in 2011, should say that first. Released in 2011, directed by Michael Bay, written by Aaron Kruger, and starring Shia LaBeouf, Josh Duhamel, John Turturro, Tyrese Gibson, Rose Huntington-Whitely, or Whiteley, not sure, Patrick Dempsey, Kevin Dunn, Julie White, with John Malkovich, and Frances McDormand. And of course, starring the voice cast of Peter Cullen, Hugo Weaving, and Leonard Nimoy this time around, which is pretty sweet.
Yes.
This was, of course, the third film of the Transformers franchise. The last film starring Shia LaBeouf. The last film is John Turturro in the
John
next
Turturro
one?
is in Last Night. I don't think he's in Age of Extinction.
Okay, so it's not the last John Turturro one. But yeah, this was definitely the last of the Shia LaBeouf. The last Sam Witwicky Transformers film. This is honestly only the second time I've seen this movie. Yeah. The first time I saw it in the theater. I saw it in 3D, I remember. Mm-hmm. And I actually really liked it. I remember, I'm surprised I didn't watch it again. Maybe I did. Maybe I watched it one other time, like when it first came out on DVD or Blu-ray. And it was probably back in 2011. You know, it was a long time ago. But it had been a long time for me. But anyway, I loved it when I saw it in the theater. I thought, it was definitely much better than part 2 and was up there with part 1 in terms of just enjoyment for me. What about you?
You know what? I'm not even going to be coy about it. I love this movie. It is my favorite Transformers movie.
Okay.
I watched this one more than any Transformers movie. I firmly believe that it is the best one. It's fun. It's a good time. It's funny. And it has some of the best action of any Michael Bay movie that he's ever made. Like this movie, you could tell that this was going to be the last one. Like they intended on this being the last one because it feels like the last movie of a franchise. And that is probably the best thing about it, is that it is so big and it does what the second movie didn't do, is that, and it makes it feel like there are really stakes.
Right.
I didn't really feel the stakes in the second movie. I feel the stakes in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I love this movie. I love this movie. It is. I mean, as far as Michael Bay Transformers movies go, it's those movies, as a whole, they're not really Transformers movies,
right?
As far as like adhering to the lore and the essence of the characters, they're not really that. But is this a fun movie? Yes. Is it enjoyable? Yes. Do I love it? Absolutely. So it gets the job done in my book.
Yeah. I watching it this time around, the first half, I was like, it felt a little long, I guess. And so I was kind of like, oh man, I'm which is why I haven't watched this movie in so long, because I was worried that I was going to be disappointed with it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I'm enjoying this as much as I did the first time around. But once the second half of this movie, basically once Sam tells Frances McDormand, who's like Detective Meering or something, or not detective, but whatever her name is, Meering. Yeah. Once he tells her the Decepticons wanted Optimus to wake up Sentinel, from then on, it's so much fun.
Yeah. And oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, we can just get right into it. The first half of the movie, I still enjoy the first half of the movie.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just,
yeah.
It's just I guess it just took, for me watching it this time, felt like it took a little bit for the kind of the story to get moving.
Yeah. And me and Alex and Tyler, we talk about this movie all the time. This was the first movie that we like watched together, so
oh cool.
It kind of like reignited our love for the movie.
Sure.
But we always say that, we would have cut out Sam looking for a job.
Yeah.
If I were to do it, I would have started the movie with with the prologue in 1961 and started in Sam's apartment, but I would have went from Sam's apartment to his first day at his new job rather than that montage of him looking for a new job. That might have cut out maybe 5 to 7 minutes of the movie.
It's not a whole lot, but
it's not a lot, but but that just that little bit would have made for much better pacing. And I would have started right when he was at his first day at Accurata with John Malkovich's character. And I mean, from then on, I think the movie's pretty decent. I think it has a really good story. I think it gets back to what the first one had, which was a simple story, but one that built up to the second half of the movie. Well, in the first one, that story kind of built up to the third act. But in this one, it builds up right to the midpoint. From the midpoint on, it's great.
Right. Yeah.
But I like, I'll be honest, I'm a sucker for a slow burn. It doesn't bother me when movies take their time. It does bother me when they like overdo it, being slow for no reason. But with the exception of that montage in the beginning of the movie, I feel like everything else is pretty well paced, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because I really like the prologue, actually, and the whole idea of like, the real reason we were trying to get to the moon and stuff. That's just a lot of fun. Kind of the alternate history, I think is really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy all that. That was fun. I really do think it's I think it's the Shia LaBeouf job hunting stuff that really does slow it down. I think and also it kind of bothers me that his mom and dad are like, "Oh, you're going to your new job," and he's like, "Job interviews," and he's like, "That sucks." And I'm like, I get it. They want him to have a job by now, but I'm like, he's got interviews. It's not like he's just sitting around being lazy. It's so I felt like his parents should have been a little bit more supportive.
I think it's the fact that he's been out of college for a year and still doesn't have a job.
Yeah, that's probably true. But I mean, he gets one like right that day. So
yeah.
I agree.
We later find out why he got that job so quickly.
I think if they had just started the movie with him being like, it's your first day on the new job, and I mean, I guess you could still have I understand why the parents are in this movie, because they were such comedic relief in the first and second movie.
Yeah,
but you don't really need them in this movie. You could cut them out.
No, you don't need them.
If it was just him on his first day at the job, maybe he before he goes into work, he stops at Carly's workplace and meets Dylan or something. I don't know, but he could meet Dylan on his way to the new job or something. But yeah, I just think it took a little bit to get the ball rolling, and I think it's mostly just that. It was just Shia and his job hunting and stuff, and then you get to some of the comedy. I don't mind the comedy in this movie necessarily, but like Ken Jeong is just so over the top. I love Ken Jeong. I think he's funny, but he's just so over the top in this movie. That whole scene in the bathroom and stuff, you're just like, all right, this guy's just insane.
Yeah.
But which I guess is kind of the point. But yeah, I do love when he gets thrown out the window, though. John Malkovich's reaction, seeing that guy fall by the window, he's like, I mean, it's just that was great.
And then after he falls, he's like, staring at him is not gonna bring him back.
Right. Yeah. There's a guy like taking a picture and stuff. Which is terrible. That was the other thing. Like I got this, and granted, I know that other guy who's the actor's name I don't know, but the guy that was like mad at Ken Jeong because Ken Jeong smacked some stuff out of his hand or something.
Oh yeah.
He like nobody cares that this guy just killed himself. Like that guy who seemed to work fairly closely with him was just like making a joke about something 2 seconds later after he killed himself. You're just like, okay, wow, these people are all terrible human beings.
You got to remember what kind of movie this is. You got to remember like who made this movie. There's not a whole lot of room for that in Michael Bay movies.
No, there's not. You're very true.
I think the most emotion I've seen in a Michael Bay movie, Bad Boys 2.
There's a tiny bit in this movie.
Yeah.
When
it's a little bit.
When Bumblebee looks like he's about to be executed, there's some emotion in that scene.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I think it's mostly due to Steve Jablonski's score, but still, and Shia LaBeouf's acting. He's got the single tear rolling down his cheek when that's about to happen. But
I'm so glad you brought that up. Like, there are moments in this movie where Shia LaBeouf is like, he is so into it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And knowing that he was tired of these movies, I was like, he really gave it his all in this movie. Like, I know that this is just a summer blockbuster, but he really took it seriously. Like when he was supposed to be serious, when he was supposed to be emotional, like he really took it there, you know, like, and even there are some scenes where he's like over the top, like when they get to, the Nest headquarters,
right.
He's like, wow, like even that, like it's over the top, but like he's really giving it his all. I was like, yo, Shia LaBeouf is a really good actor.
He is really good, and I really enjoy watching him. I know he's still acting, but it's like he's very
selective
now, and I kind of wish he would do a couple more bigger type movies. I know it's not what he wants to do, but
but I mean, he was a child actor. He did all the big stuff earlier in his career, and I guess he kind of feels like I know what that's like,
right?
And I've done that before. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do more personal stuff that means something to me, and I can respect that.
I can respect that too. He was amazing in Fury. Really liked him in that movie.
I haven't seen that yet. I really want to see that.
Yeah, you got to watch that one. And there's a couple of like his later movies. Some of his later movies I haven't seen, like The Tax Collector. I never saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's filming Francis Ford Coppola's new movie right now.
What movie is that?
I might get this wrong, but I think it's called like Megalopolis or something like that.
Oh yes, I did hear about that. Yeah.
But filming it in Atlanta, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I agree. No, Shia LaBeouf I think is amazing. I've always kind of thought he was really, really good. Almost too good for some of these movies, it's like
for sure. I definitely agree with that.
But no, I'm I'm glad he doesn't phone it in. He's a professional. He does a good job with he's gonna give it his all. But he is over the top in that scene. But I do like that scene a little bit. Like I thought that scene was hilarious the first time I saw it when he arrives at Nest.
Yeah.
But I do like how, he shows up and he's like, I need to see Optimus Prime right now. I got to talk to the Autobots. And they're like, sir, this is Health and Human Services. He's like, oh, really? He's like, what are you guys guarding? Like, I can't remember what he says, like kitchen utensils and stuff or something like that. So, and so, and then when, his car gets kind of messed up and he's walking in, he's like, you're fixing my car. So he's very, it's funny to me.
I'm very excited about this movie, so I kind of want to go through it like beat by beat.
Sure.
So we already talked about the opening and how it was like the real reason for the space race,
right.
Which I love that whole opening scene, and then we get to the montage. But then fast forward a little bit since we kind of breezed through that first 15 minutes or so. They
Cybertron.
Wake up. Cybertron.
Cybertron.
Yeah,
we actually got to see Cybertron for the first time in this universe.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't the first time.
Oh, really?
No, we saw Cybertron the first time in the first
In the
movie.
first movie? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I just forgot.
Yeah, when Optimus was explaining like who Megatron was.
Okay. Well, never mind.
We see a little bit more of it in this movie, and I do like that chase sequence for what it is, but I'm not crazy about the look of Cybertron.
Yeah.
I like it and I don't like it. I like it for the movie. I don't like it as a Transformers adaptation.
Right. I hear you.
They get to they wake up Sentinel Prime, and I really like Sentinel Prime. I love Leonard Nimoy as the voice of Sentinel Prime, who was also the voice of Galvatron in Transformers 86.
We even see a little, it's almost like a foreshadow.
Yes.
Because when in the very beginning of the movie, right before Shia goes to his job interviews, he lets Wheelie and that other one, I don't know who that other one is, but he lets those two little Transformers in, and they turn on the TV, and it's an old episode of Star Trek, and he goes, oh, I've seen this one, the one where Spock goes nuts.
Yeah,
you know? And so
I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh man, how you feel about the new characters introduced? Francis McDormand, John Malkovich.
John Malkovich, I feel like at least you could tell he's having fun on the set.
Yeah,
his character is just bizarre. It's just he's the eccentric millionaire, CEO of a company. A little bit of a maybe Donald Trump kind of esque, because he's got like the orange, spray tan type thing. But it kind of unnecessary. Like, I don't know. I like John
comic
Malkovich.
Relief character.
Right. He's just another comic relief character. I like John Malkovich. I think he does a good job in the movie. I don't know if like Shia's boss would actually be the one like bringing stuff over to his apartment when they. Yeah, it's kind of silly in that aspect.
It is silly. I mean, like scenes like that, it's just an excuse to see John Malkovich. I mean,
yeah, right, yeah, exactly.
He is unnecessary. I will agree there, but I like him in this movie. I kind of wish he was in the movie more,
a little bit more. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is when he's giving Shia the interview. Because he's questioning him like you have no work history, but you have a recommendation from the board. Like, what's going on with that? And then he sees someone down the hall with a red cup, and he says, "What is she doing with a red cup that's not on the red floor? This is the yellow floor. It is a visceral and therefore a visceral betrayal. Right. Stop it."
She starts crying. Somebody comes and takes her mug away, throws it in the trash can, and she starts crying. You're like, do you really want to work for this place?
Right. Like it's those moments like that's a classic Michael Bay scene. Completely unnecessary, but it is so funny. Yeah. And I know I'm kind of being a little bit of a hypocrite because I kind of rag on James Gunn for doing that same thing.
Yeah.
But like that particular scene is very funny to me, and I don't know why.
Right. In terms of Frances McDormand, I think she does a fantastic job. Frances McDormand, of course, is an amazing actress.
Yeah.
Her character could have easily been that kind of annoying, kind of like the character from Part 2.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
That's just like, I'm here to stand in your way. I'm not going to let you do the things you used to be able to do just because I can, kind of a thing. But she comes across like that a little bit, and she is that way with Shia at first. But she's actually like, and maybe it's just the way Frances McDormand plays it, but like she kind of, gives the character, it's like she doesn't really come across as a bad guy. It's just somebody who's trying to do their best at, keeping everything under control, kind of a thing. Yeah. I mean, I guess the biggest thing she does in terms of like maybe being an antagonist is telling the Autobots to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you still don't really kind of dislike her character. It's kind of interesting. And then I love the whole dynamic between It's kind of the post-credit scene, you know, where the dynamic between John Turturro and Frances McDormand and stuff.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like they used to have a thing going on. Like don't tell anybody what happened in Quantico.
right. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. The character, I think the character that the new character that I like the most though is Dutch, Alan Tudyk.
Yes,
his character is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Tudyk is. I like Alan Tudyk and whatever he's in. But yeah, as Dutch, he is really good. I think he plays well off of John Turturro. The best scene is when they go to that Russian club and he just goes berserk.
That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite.
Control your boy.
He's like about to go John Wick on everybody. He's got like the guns and everything. And then he just kind of realizes and he goes, I'm sorry, that is the old me.
That is the old me.
So good.
Oh man. Like and that's the thing. Like the thing that this movie does is take it back to like the first one. Like the second one had a lot of humor in it, but a lot of that humor wasn't exactly funny.
Right.
The humor in this movie is so funny.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Simmons? So Simmons in the first film is the head of Sector 7, or at least maybe not the head, but he's one of the guys from Sector 7. And then in the second film, he's like discredited, doesn't have any money. He's working out of like his mom's deli or whatever. He's this conspiracy theorist. Nobody believes him. And then in this third movie, now he's written a book. He's a millionaire somehow. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if it's off book sales or what. But how do you feel about his whole arc, I guess you could say?
I like it, and it makes sense because of the events of the second movie. See, between the first movie and the second movie, the Transformers were still a myth. Like people didn't know whether they existed or not, because that event was contained to what city? Los Angeles.
Right.
So in the second movie, Transformers start showing up all over the world,
around the world, at least,
and you know, in Egypt it was like televised and everything, so people know that Transformers exist, and he is pretty much an expert on the Transformers.
He was there for both things.
He was there for both events, so he knows, you know, he knows the goings on of the Transformers world and the Transformers event, so it makes sense that he would have capitalized on being one of the only people that know about the Transformers.
Gotcha.
So I love it.
And I do find it very believable that his character would write a book.
Oh, absolutely.
And go on TV to do interviews and all that stuff about it.
Exactly. On O'Reilly Factor.
Yeah. That's another Michael Bay kind of moment of comedy that was unnecessary, but also kind of funny, where that old guy like drops his hammer right off like by the camera, and then he like picks it up and walks through the frame. And John Turturro's like, thought that was pretty good.
How do you feel about Rosie Huntington-Whiteley?
I think she's actually all right in this movie. I mean, it's kind of funny that you know, Megan Fox obviously was the love interest in part 1 and part 2. And now she's gone in this one, and they kind of very, what's the word? Kind of nonchalantly say
gloss
like
over
she dumped you and she was mean. I think Wheelie's like, she's mean, I didn't like her, you know. And part of me was like, is this did Michael Bay include that line? Because I think they didn't get along, right? Michael Bay and Megan Fox.
So I don't think they really got along, but the reason that she was let go was because she said something. I think she made some anti-Semitic comments.
Oh, that'll do it.
That Steven Spielberg was not fond of, and he was like, "Yo, she got to go." I don't know exactly what she said, but I think I want to say she compared Michael Bay to Hitler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. and Steven Spielberg did not like that.
Yeah, no, of course not.
I don't know exactly what she said, but I think
that sounds actually. Now that you said that, I feel like I remember reading that she compared Michael Bay to Hitler, and yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I like Rose Huntington-Whitely. I think she's or Whitley. I don't know how you say your last name, but I think she does a pretty good job in this movie, and yeah, how do you feel about her?
I could take her or leave her. Like I don't think she's bad. She's not any worse than Megan Fox.
No, I don't think she's a bad actress.
I actually think she has better line delivery than Megan Fox.
Yeah.
But if I were to make the movie, like if she, if Megan Fox's character wasn't in the movie anymore, I probably just wouldn't have replaced her. I probably would have just said, I probably would have started the movie out with Sam being depressed over the breakup.
Yeah.
I would have made a bigger deal of Megan Fox's character not being there, but not necessarily having to replace her.
Right.
So
I love this scene. So I actually want to say before I talk about this is the shot that I thought was amazing in 3D. It's where Shia LaBeouf is riding in Bumblebee, and Bumblebee throws him out, transforms, catches him, and puts him back in the car.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah,
that seems awesome. But the thing that I don't find believable about Shia LaBeouf and Rose Huntington-Whitely or however say his name is how they meet. So there's a flashback scene where Shia's getting his medal from Obama, and he sees her. And he does this whole finger gun thing, and I was like, nope. Nope. I was like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she fell for that. It was just that part I found very unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, getting back to the story, they Optimus is upset because they have they've been withholding information from the Autobots about the history of Transformers on the planet, and them hiding.
Optimus didn't even know that was what the space race was about. He didn't know that there was a ship on the moon and stuff.
Yeah. So they send them to the moon to investigate, and then that's where they find Sentinel Prime and wake them up. And now
and the five pillars.
Yeah, and the five pillars. Yeah, and it's assumed that they were trying to keep the pillars away from the Decepticons.
Right.
But later we find out that was not the case.
Right.
And that's where the movie gets really good.
In my opinion, from that point on, the movie is just amazing.
Yes.
Because Sentinel is really cool, and I like the scenes between Optimus and Sentinel where they're talking and everything. And of course, listening to Sentinel talk is fun just because it's Leonard Nimoy.
Right.
But yeah, once you find, they've got 5 pillars, and they think that they have kept all the pillars away from the Decepticons, but then they find out that the Decepticons have like hundreds of pillars,
yeah.
And Sentinel is the only one that can use them, and Optimus is the only one that can reawaken Sentinel. So they leave 5 pillars behind. They leave Sentinel behind because they know that Optimus will come get him and wake him up. And once that is discovered and you realize Sentinel is actually working for the Decepticons, oh man.
A deal had to be made. Yep. Oh my goodness. So let's just get right into it. When he kills Ironhide, my jaw dropped on the floor. I was like, what? I was like, they really did it. They really killed an Autobot. I was like, yeah, I'm with it. Cause I know they killed Jazz in the first movie, but Jazz didn't have nearly the spotlight that Ironhide had. Yeah. So when they killed Ironhide, I was like, oh yeah, this is it.
We're getting serious now.
We're getting serious now. But I love that plot twist. It's so effective. You don't see it coming.
Right.
And then once it happens, it makes complete sense.
Yep.
So I love that plot twist. This might be the best story out of the three movies. It might be.
I think it is. Yeah. Personally, I mean, like you said, it's a simple story, but I think in the first movie, it's the cube. It's all about the cube, I guess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, I really like. I mean, the whole idea that the pillars act as a teleportation device, and Sentinel is the only one that can kind of activate it, and so in order to save Cybertron, essentially, they're going to bring Cybertron to Earth, which I don't totally understand that. Like, are they going to bring it so that it like orbits like the solar system, or are they going to replace, like, is Cybertron going to replace the same space as Earth? That's one thing I didn't quite understand, but
I believe that Cybertron is supposed to take, not necessarily take the place of Earth. So it's not necessarily terraforming.
Right.
They're bringing the planet here, and they were going to enslave humans to rebuild
Cybertron.
Cybertron.
So didn't just knock Earth out of the way, I guess.
Yes. And the reason I love Sentinel so much is that it's not necessarily something that he wants to do, but it's kind of like General Zod. He was like, yo, I'm trying to save my people.
Right.
So if I have to side with the Decepticons to do that, then so be it.
Right.
He was, like you said, a deal had to be made. I didn't necessarily want to do this, but this is the only way that our planet would be able to survive. And Optimus is like, no, like Earth is our home now. Like,
right.
Cybertron had its chance.
Yeah, exactly. Cybertron had its chance. There's a line that Sentinel says that's actually a famous Spock quote from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Yeah. Where he says the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Mm-hmm.
But in this context, it's kind of the opposite of what was done in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. In this movie, he's like, the needs of the many are the many Transformers outweigh the needs of the few, which I guess the 7 billion people on Earth are the few.
Right.
But I really like that, hearing, you know, Leonard Nimoy say that. And me being a Star Trek nerd, caught that. Apparently, Sentinel was originally designed to be voiced by Sean Connery. They kind of, like, I guess they wanted his face. He doesn't really look like Sean Connery to me, but they supposedly kind of designed his face.
They gave him a beard like Sean,
to look like Sean Connery. And Sean Connery turned it down. But that's why there's a line that Sentinel says towards the end of the film where he says, and I forget what the context of the line is, but he says there can be only one.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a line from Highlander that Sean Connery has said, apparently.
Well, Sean Connery he had retired by the time this movie came out. The last thing he was in was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is like 8 years before this movie came out.
Right. I mean, it would have been kind of cool to have him come back and voice a Transformer. That would have been pretty sweet. But Leonard Nimoy does such a good job that, you know, I can't be upset.
I mean, to me, Sentinel actually looks like Leonard Nimoy to me, just with a beard.
Yeah. Like evil Spock.
Yeah.
And maybe once Leonard Nimoy got cast, they kind of changed the design a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe not. One thing
I love Sentinel Prime, man. He looks cool. Like the
looks cool, sounds cool.
They got a great voice for him. Like he's written perfectly. Like he's one of the best characters in the entirety of the franchise. It's just they really nailed it with Sentinel Prime.
Yeah, I agree. And we didn't bring up Megatron. So Megatron is in this film.
Yes.
He's Sentinel is basically the main bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But Megatron, and I love the first time we see Megatron. So he's kind of become this Mad Max kind of truck.
Yo,
and when he transforms,
they turned Megatron into like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. He transforms and he's got like this kind of hood slash, you know,
so
I don't know.
good.
It's not really a cape, but it's like this. It's just, it looks so that I love that Michael Bay stayed on a wide shot for that. And we could see him go from truck to full body in like one frame essentially. And he just, that shot. I remember seeing, because when that truck, again, I hadn't seen this movie for forever. So when that truck first pulls up, I'm like, who's this? And he transforms into Megatron. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that was amazing.
And then he like pulls the gun from his back. Oh my God. That like, I mean, that whole scene was dope. And then you like, Soundwave comes in and like, Laserbeak like flies on his arm. Like it felt so
Starscream
Western.
Yeah, it did.
Like it was, oh my goodness. It was so dope.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like is that Soundwave in this movie is smaller. I don't like that.
Yeah. How do you feel about Laserbeak?
I like Laserbeak. I really like Laserbeak. I think Laserbeak is so much better than Ravage in the first, because Ravage and Laserbeak are Soundwave's lieutenants.
Right.
And the design is much better, and just the functionality of the character in the story is better.
Yeah. I agree the functionality is better. It's one of those things where Laserbeak almost, it's kind of like that same problem I had with Revenge of the Fallen, where that one Transformer could look like a human being, you know, and we're like, what is this technology?
Yeah.
Why aren't, you know, Laserbeak can almost, Laserbeak turns into a different looking like pink Transformer, which I thought
like
was
like a mini Bumblebee.
Yeah. And then also can be like a TV, can be, you know, it's like Laserbeak can almost turn into anything. And so it's that part I was kind of like, all right, if Laserbeak could like just turn into a TV and did that several times, like that'd be one thing. But I think the little mini Bumblebee is the one that really kind of threw me off, because I was like, this is again kind of advanced. Like, why can't all Transformers do this? Why is it just Laserbeak type of thing?
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah.
But otherwise, I did like Laserbeak. You know, I like kind of the character of Laserbeak and how it's, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what did you tell Wiki and like and killing these characters.
He's
stuff,
the enforcer.
Yeah.
He's the enforcer,
which is kind of cool.
I like that. I kind of figured Patrick Dempsey was going to be an antagonist. I didn't know that he was going to like be working with the Decepticons.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I just thought it was going to be... I thought it was going to be, you know, the typical, he's trying to steal Sam's girlfriend type of thing.
Yeah.
And he's the attractive, you know, millionaire car collector, you know, whatever. I do. Speaking of, you know, earlier when we were talking about Shia LaBeouf being such a good actor, when Shia, granted, he's, I don't know if he's being childish, but he's being somewhat insecure, I guess. But when he first goes to see Carly at Dylan's like museum or whatever, and he's looking at all the pictures, and he's like, oh, these guys look great. Like, he just played it so well. Like his jealousy coming up so much, you know. It was really good.
It's a shame because, like, you know, like we said before, he gives a great performance, but because of the kind of movie that this is, his performance is not going to get recognized.
No.
And it like I said, it's a shame because he does a really good job in this movie. But yeah, Patrick Dempsey's character, I like his character. He's kind of a weasel type character.
Yeah, of course. he is a character that I feel like we've seen before, you know. He's that charming guy who ends up working for the bad guys because he thinks that he will be spared from becoming a slave or whatever, you know. You know, it's, and then eventually gets betrayed by the bad guys, and he's like, you made a deal with me or whatever, you know. And so it's kind of almost a cliche type character, but I think Patrick Dempsey does a great job with it.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes is when he's talking to Megatron and they're having some kind of conversation, but after the conversation is over, he bows, he says, "My liege," and he says, "What a
Yeah. I think that line was ADR'd too, because he turns away from the camera and then kind of says it, and I was like, watching it, I was like, I think they added that line later, which is, I'm glad they did.
I love the dynamic of Optimus and Sentinel Prime. I'm at the scene right now where they're having that conversation about the the needs of the many.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really cool dynamic because Optimus feels betrayed by Sentinel Prime because he's kind of like his dad almost.
Yeah.
So they have a very
Optimus definitely looked up to Sentinel Prime, and
he looked up to him and idolized him because before Sentinel he crashed on the moon, he was the leader of the Autobots,
right?
And then the leadership fell to Optimus, which I think it's a like a great backstory to kind of enhance their relationship and enhance the internal conflict of the Transformers. Like I like that the actual Transformers have some conflict amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much, but it's enough to make it interesting.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And then we find out that Soundwave was that new car that Carly's character was driving.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that $200,000 car that that Dylan just gave to her as a work perk or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we find out that's how Sam got the job. Sam
he was the guy on the board that wrote the letter. Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm. So he could set in motion finding Sentinel on the moon and get those, bring those pillars to Earth. The story for this movie it's pretty smart. I mean, it is a simple blockbuster sci-fi story, but as far as those kinds of movies go, especially for the Transformers movies, which the stories are very cliche, it's a very intelligent movie for the kind of movie it is.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I remember being nervous about going into this movie because Aaron Kruger wrote it. He's the sole writer on this film. Mm-hmm. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen had Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci, who were the sole writers for the first film. Mm-hmm. And then Aaron Kruger co-wrote the second movie with them. And the second movie wasn't very good. And then he's the sole writer on this one. And Aaron Kruger, I also will always remember him as being the writer for Scream 3, which I hated Scream 3.
I haven't seen Scream 3 in a long time.
Yeah.
I actually watched Scream 2 and 4 recently.
Really?
And I skipped 3. I don't know why. I don't remember not liking it. I just haven't seen it in a long time. So
it's the most kind of they always the bad guys always have those voice changers that what's your favorite scary movie, that voice. Mm-hmm. But in the third movie, and this is my it's kind of got a lot of stupid stuff, but this is my biggest beef with that movie, is the bad guy now has a voice changer that can make him sound like anybody in the movie. So at some point he sounds like Courtney Cox, and at another point he sounds like Dewey or something, and it's just that's just so unrealistic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just remember I was like, Aaron Kruger wrote Scream 3. I don't know what else Aaron Kruger's written. I'd have to look him up. And I was like, this is now Transformers 3. I was like, this is gonna be bad. But it's actually one of the better written Transformers movies.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a little bit farther ahead of you, I think, in the movie than you are. And they're about to board the ship to leave Earth. The Autobots have been told to go. You have done nothing but bring trouble to our planet. It's time for you to leave.
Yeah.
And Shia, of course, is wearing a watch that's like a some sort of spy
tracking device. Yeah,
tracking device, spy technology for the Decepticons. And so he's trying to get Optimus to tell him what the plan is. I know there's a plan. You need to tell me your plan. Otherwise, they're going to kill Carly. And Optimus says there is no plan. And it looks like they're boarding, the spaceship. This scene, I love the music in this scene.
Oh man, I'm getting excited talking about it, man.
Steve Jablonsky does like a piano kind of version of the main Transformers theme.
Yeah.
And it's got it just works so well as being kind of this sad, emotional song, you know, where the Transformers are about to leave Earth and leave everyone behind. And I love what John Turturro says. He goes, you know, years from now, they're gonna say, "Where were you when they took over the Earth?" And we're gonna say, "We just stood by and watched."
just stood by and watched. Oh
yeah,
man,
I love that line.
I didn't take any notes for this movie, but I made a mental note to mention that, and you brought it up before I did. That is one of the best lines in the Transformers franchise.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. And then you know they board the ship. The Xanthium is what it's called.
That's right.
The Xanthium. And goes up into the air, and Starscream comes and blows it up because Patrick Dempsey's character, what's his name? Dylan. He's like, oh, we heard everything. We just wanted to make sure they would go without a fight, and so he comes and blows up the Xanthium. And again, another jaw-dropping moment. Like they was really going all out in this movie, trying to make it feel like the last movie.
Yeah.
Now, as much as I love that scene, the small problem that I have with it is that they didn't put any clues to the reveal, the I guess the second plot twist when they come back.
Right.
So they said that they put like a little escape pod like on the side of the ship that they
said they were in the like, because when they shoot these rockets off, once they get to a certain like height, those booster rockets fall off, right?
Yeah.
And they don't show that, but they should have. But that's what they said. They said they were all hanging out in that booster rocket that fell into the ocean.
Yeah.
And you're right.
I wish there was a maybe one more. And I mean, there wasn't even a clue, but I wish there was something that was said to allude to the fact that they were hiding in there before it's revealed to us that they were actually hiding in there. That's my only little nitpick.
I would have just been happy just seeing the booster rockets fall off. You know, like you get just a shot of it going up, and then the booster rockets just kind of separate, and you see those two things fall back down to the earth or into the ocean before Starscream shows up. That would have been enough for me to just been like, oh, okay, they were in those. That's what they said, and I get it. But yeah, it's they didn't show that. You're right. They didn't give any sort of hint that they were alive. So it almost seems convenient. We were in the booster rocket. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I love the result. I love when they show back up. And
that
great
Optimus
moment.
and that they're not all dead. Obviously, the Autobots have to come back, but
But I mean, that leads into one of my favorite third acts in any movie.
The Battle of Chicago. Oh
man, the Battle of Chicago is so epic. It is so good, and I know John had brought this up in a previous episode. I can't remember what movie we were talking about. But he was saying how it was just, repetitive of Transformers like crashing into buildings.
Yeah.
And while that is true, I still like it. I still like seeing it. Like when Shockwave, and we didn't even talk about Shockwave.
I know. Well, yeah, I was waiting for you to bring up Shockwave. Yeah.
Shockwave is one of my favorite Transformers.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, he's like this mad scientist, and he's just like he has no regard for anyone's life, and he is just so evil. But he's very like calm and calculative, and but he's just so evil. And in this one, in this movie, he's not that scientist type character, but he's still like evil for the sake of being evil. Like he's more of an enforcer in this movie as well.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about him is that one, they nailed his look.
Yeah.
Like
amazing.
The way he looks in this movie, while the Transformers don't look much like how they look in in the cartoon,
yeah.
other than in their face. Oh my God. I love the way they translated his look in this movie. He looks so good and he is so menacing. He has like 2 lines in the
he doesn't
entire
say
movie,
like barely anything.
and he is so scary. And he's riding like this transformer worm, like, oh my God. Like it's just so good.
Yeah, Shockwave is awesome.
Man. And it, like the scene where he kind of like the worm like twirls in and out of that skyscraper and like kind of folds it. Oh, that's such a good scene. Oh my God. And then the building hasn't completely toppled over yet, and the Decepticons are like looking for the humans in the building, which kind of doesn't make any sense. Like they're clearly there. Like, how do you not see them?
Right.
But I love that scene. That's where it gets to be like sci-fi blockbuster cheese, because there's a lot of stuff going on in that scene that doesn't make sense, but it's so fun. It's so fun. Like when they're sliding down the glass, and Tyrese's character's like, shoot the glass. That wouldn't work. You'd shoot your feet off before you shot the glass.
Yeah.
But it's oh man, I love that third act. I love it so much.
I do too, and I thought about that too when they like all of them just jump out of the window with no hesitation. And then they're sliding down that glass and they're like, we didn't think this through.
No, not at all.
They're all about to slide to their death, and then Tyrese's like, shoot the glass, and of course, that doesn't work.
And then like one of Tyrese's friends, they hired to help protect Sam and Carly. He was like, I got spaceships and robots shooting at me. I didn't sign up for all of this. I'm trying to keep it together.
Yeah, I like that guy. He said something about he's like, I'm gonna die of a heart attack anyway, so whatever.
And this really has nothing to do with the movie, but can we appreciate Tyrese's car? He's got that cool Chevelle.
That's right.
Like that is a beautiful car.
Nice car.
But this scene also has one of my favorite shots in the movie, and that's the invasion scene when those ships are hovering over Chicago
just
and they're
shooting
like
the buildings,
blasting the buildings.
Yeah.
That I love the composition of that frame. Like it looks so good. Like that right there is like what makes the movie feel like a real alien invasion movie.
Right.
Like this is some serious stuff going on right now.
It's a long battle scene. It's almost, I remember thinking like, especially during when Shia's trying to get back into the city, and Tyrese is like, nobody's gonna make it in there, and Shia's like, well, I gotta go because she's in there, and they kind of get into that whole argument. It feels like a war movie.
Yeah,
almost,
for sure.
It's like,
That whole like battle scene is like 45 minutes long.
Yeah, it's really it's quite long.
Yeah, it's really good. Like the tone of that scene, like it's still like that light blockbustery type scene, but it still feels very serious. Like it reminds me a lot of Independence Day.
Yeah.
It's just so well executed. Like this third act is Michael Bay at his best.
Yeah.
Like there's no questioning in it. It is. It don't get no better than this.
Yeah, and I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, because there's a lot of robot on robot fighting and stuff, and I was like, if you're just not a fan of giant robots fighting other giant robots, you're probably not gonna like this movie. But I certainly do.
I am a big fan of giant robots fighting other robots, and they do it. They nail it. You actually see like the Decepticons just blasting human beings. Like they're turning them into dust.
Yeah.
Like
they're like actively going after them,
they're
trying
actively
to shoot
shooting humans.
Yeah.
Like the
vaporizing them essentially.
The stakes are high in this movie. I love it, man.
One thing we didn't talk about is Optimus has like flight gear in this movie. It's like so when he's in truck form, he's got like the tractor trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And the tractor trailer turns into like this jetpack thing that he can wear, which I thought was so cool.
Yeah, I figured they like kind of integrated that from Revenge of the Fallen when Jetfire gave him his parts,
right?
And I figured they kind of took those parts and kind of used it to kind of turn it into a trailer,
right?
Because they have that what's the name of that Transformer? I don't even think he's in this movie. Jolt, the one with the electric cables.
Right.
He's in the second movie. So they probably just use him to like turn Jetfire's parts into a trailer.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a scene where Carly is talking to Megatron, and she's basically like getting in his head.
Yeah.
And I love that scene, and it prompts Megatron to like have like a final confrontation with Optimus Prime. And even though that confrontation is short, it's still good.
It is
because Optimus Prime is like, I've had enough of you. It's
right,
time for
yeah.
you. Like it's time for you to die.
Yeah. Well, I like that too because it makes total sense too. Like I don't know if it totally makes sense for Carly to be the one to tell him, but it makes total sense that somebody would tell Megatron, you're not in charge anymore.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, I am. I'm Megatron. He's like, no,
no, you're not.
Sentinel is now in charge.
Right.
You are now second to Sentinel.
Right.
which pisses him off, and so yeah, and then the short but sweet exchange between Optimus and Megatron is great. And Optimus does not hold back. Rips out his robotic spine.
Man, Optimus in these movies is so savage. Like he is ripping off Transformers' faces, ripping spines out of Transformers. Like he is savage. Like I would like watch these movies, right? And play a drinking game of every time Optimus says I'll kill you or let him come. Like Optimus wants
kill them all.
Optimus wants all the smoke. He wants all the smoke. And another thing that I don't really care for about this movie is that it ends so abruptly. I mean, all the movies kind of do this.
They do, yeah. This one and the second one especially.
Yeah, this one in particular, just like, okay, that's it. That's the end.
It's like they kill Megatron.
No epilogue?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, really, there's really not. I mean, they kill Megatron, they win the battle. Chicago is still just very much destroyed. And they're like, we did it. End credits. It's just very short.
Yeah, there's no tying up of loose ends.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and I get why they did it. It's already a pretty
2.5 hour movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I get it.
I kind of almost would rather it end abruptly like that rather than go on for another 10 minutes and show us, Sam and Carly being happy together and Dylan in jail or something. It's like, I don't need to see all that.
Right.
My robots are done fighting. That's just roll the credits.
I love this movie, and there's no way around it. It's
a lot of fun.
I love it. It's a lot of fun.
I love the music in this movie. I know I've talked about it a little bit with, there is no plan, but this especially during the final battle of Chicago, the music at times is just amazing.
Oh yeah, that's when the score is at its best during the third act. I was actually listening to it yesterday.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
I was like, "Yo, this is really good."
Yeah, I even like the soundtrack too. So the soundtrack, each movie is a Linkin Park song, and this soundtrack I think might be one of the better ones. Although the first movie had some pretty good songs too, but the Linkin Park song is kind of is a more of a ballad, I guess, this time around. There's a cool Paramore song that plays.
I love that Paramore song.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Monster. That is it's such a good song. I mean, Paramore. I like the band Paramore. Paramore is a really good band. But yeah, that's one of my favorite.
But that song's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Paramore songs.
But yeah, we can talk about a rating.
4 out of 5. I mean, I've gushed about this movie enough.
Yeah.
4 out of 5. For a long time I had it at a 3.5, but every time I watch this movie, I like it even more.
Yeah.
I'm going completely. I mean, if I went completely subjective on the movie, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. But I know better than to do that.
Right.
But 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm right in there in the same boat with you. I think if you had asked me before rewatching it yesterday, I would have given it a 3.5 probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started watching it yesterday, I was thinking, this might even be, this might be a 3, because like I said, the beginning of the movie takes a little bit and everything. But once we get into the second half of the movie is just so good that it's just it easily is a 4 out of 5 for me too. Yeah. I don't know if I like it more than the first one. The first one for me, I just really loved that movie when I saw it in the theater. I saw it a few times. So it's not quite a nostalgia factor, but I guess it's kind of almost like a nostalgia factor. And I think I haven't seen this one enough. I think I need to watch this one a couple more times. And
yeah, for me, it's definitely it's definitely a nostalgia factor for the first one. I mean, even though the first one is to me is really good, but every time I watch the first one, I get excited to get to the third.
Right, yeah. I can see that. It's easily this and the first one are the best of the franchise, and I know we've only talked about these 3 so far, but I can say without a doubt that this movie is better than the next 2 that we're going to have to talk about. But
absolutely, absolutely,
this is where the franchise should have ended, probably.
Yeah, but I mean, this movie made $1 billion, so.
Right? So they're going to make another one. And that one made $1 billion, so they're going to make another one. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to rewatching Bumblebee again too, because I remember really liking that movie.
Mm-hmm. That was the first movie I watched when I got my new TV.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
That's another one that I saw in the theater, really liked it, bought the Blu-ray, have not watched it since. So I am looking forward to rewatching it, but I'll hold off on rewatching it until after we watch Age of Extinction and The Last Night.
Ooh, not looking forward to Last Night.
I'm not looking forward to either of them because they're so long. Well, the Age of Extinction is long. I don't remember. Last Night, I can't remember how long that one is.
Age of Extinction, I think that's his biggest problem is how long it is.
Yeah.
It's a decent movie. I wouldn't say it's terrible. I still like it better than 2.
Okay.
But it doesn't really hold a candle to 1 or 3 or even Bumblebee for that matter. But,
right.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a chore to watch Age of Extinction, but it's it's not great.
Right. Oh, quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know more about the Transformers characters than I do. Who's the old guy that gets executed? He gets executed before Bumblebee's about to be executed.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. They might have. I wonder if they just created him for the movie because they killed Ironhide. I mean, they could have killed off anybody, I guess. But
yeah, I'm still trying to figure out who the red Transformer is.
Yeah, I was wondering about. He's got like kind of an accent.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is either.
Well, he was like a Lamborghini.
Something.
I think he was a Lamborghini. I think he had an Italian accent, but I don't know. I don't know who he is, and I don't know who the old guy was.
He was like old and British almost, He's like,
yeah.
I think they mean to kill her. Yeah, I can't. That was a terrible accent, but yeah, he was. It was. I gotta work on that one. I think he was mostly in the movie just to be killed off.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Well, we'd love to know what you think about Transformers Dark of the Moon. You can always let us know at cinemaheroes.com. You can also tweet at us or leave us a comment on our Instagram. Both handles are at CinemaHeroes. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, leave a comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear from you however you want to reach out to us. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.